I want to share with you one of my favorite programs out there for creating flowcharts. So if you're at all curious how I've been creating the argument maps in the videos, here's how I do it. I use a program called Draw.io. To get there, that is the web address, draw.io, kind of an odd address, but that takes you out to the app, and it's all browser-based. There's nothing to download. And the first time you log in, you're probably going to be prompted to tell Draw.io how you want to save your work, because it does constantly save just like a Google Doc. I like to save everything in my Google Drive. So if you click on Google Drive, you should be prompted with something like this. You've got a couple options here. Create new diagram, open an existing diagram, or if you are signed into the wrong Google Drive, you can change your user there. Let's go ahead and create a new diagram. All right, now this can seem very intimidating at first. There's so many options. To be honest, I've never used any of these templates. I always just start with a blank diagram. And so that's what's selected here. It's just a blank diagram. The first thing you have to do is to give your file a name. So I'm going to name this demonstration video. Whoops, there we go. And you want to leave the file extension Drawio alone. Here, I've never actually changed any of these. I would just keep, again, the file extension as this Drawio XML file. And once you've titled it, just hit create. It'll ask you if you want to use the root folder or pick a folder. What that's really asking you is, do you want it to just go to your main Google Drive, or do you want it to go inside of a folder in your Google Drive? I actually have a folder just for argument maps here. There we go. So I'm going to select my argument map folder. And now this brand new flowchart file will be saved directly there. It says last changes listed a minute ago. So it saves just like a Google Doc. The program is really easy to use as long as you think of this as like your workspace. This isn't so much a page that you'll print and submit, so much as just like a big old workspace with grid lines. So the first thing you do to create an argument map is you'd want to add your boxes, right? So you come over here to the left side and select rectangle. If you want to do rounded rectangles, great, whatever, or squares, that's fine too. And just drag that shape onto your surface. You'll see that the grid lines, it locks to those nice and neatly. Okay. To add text, you just double click on the shape and type it in. Yeah. And you just do the same thing for any evidence statements you have. There. So you just create all of your statements first. And then the second step is to connect them with the arrows, right? Now, over here, you're going to see an arrow tool. I don't recommend you actually use the arrow tool, though, because there's a better way to do it. If you highlight, or if you drag your cursor along the outside edge of one of these boxes, you'll see these little nodes, and they light up green when you hover over them. Those are connector nodes. If you highlight one and click, it allows you to drag an arrow wherever you want to on the screen, and you can even drag it to another connector node in a different box. All right, now those two boxes are connected. I can even move one of them and they stay connected. So that can be really helpful if you're making more complex maps to make sure that your boxes stay connected like you want them to while you're repositioning. Okay, and that's it. That's how you create an argument map using Draw.io. Now, if you ever have to submit an argument map, or you need to get this map onto another document, the process is very, very simple. Let's say you had a big old argument map and you wanted to submit the whole thing. You just go up here to File, down here to Export, and you export it to whatever kind of file type you want, usually a PDF, a JPEG, or a PNG, something like that. So if you're trying to get, if you were trying to turn in a big argument map, download it as PDF, turn it into Canvas, you're done. Okay. More often, though, you'll probably be trying to turn in smaller argument maps, something like this. To do that, you just want to click and drag to select everything. Then go up here to File and Export. And you can export just the thing you selected by clicking on Selection Only. Yeah, that will export just the argument map that we have selected there. I always like to do transparent background. You don't have to. If you don't click this, then it's going to just have a white background or whatever color the page is. Zoom, I recommend 200% zoom. For whatever reason, 100% is small. And so I recommend 200% zoom. I don't really mess with border width, although you can, but that's it. And then you just hit export. And it'll ask you where you want that thing to go. You can find a separate place for it in your Google Drive or save it to that same folder. You can save it to OneDrive, Dropbox. I like to just save it to my local device here because then it downloads right here in my little tray and I can put that wherever I want. Here you can't see the arrow because it's transparent on a black screen. But if I were to drag this or insert this image onto a Google Doc, you'd be able to see that arrow there. All right. There's a ton of other features in Draw.io, like coloring your boxes and coloring the lines and all that. I'm going to let you guys discover that on your own as you need to, but that's all you need to know to create the kind of argument maps that you've seen in my videos.